Hey, students, I hope you're doing well. What you have probably noticed is that your grades are completely updated. Um, Thank you so much for your patience as I was grading those career essays. I tried to stay up to date with your new essay, and I'm teaching more students than normal this semester. So I apologize that those grades didn't get back to you as quickly as I like them to. While the syllabus gives me a 2 week limit, I typically have those back within a week. So I really apologize. And again, thanks for being understanding that that took a little longer than normal. A lot of you did really well on your research essay. So I want to commend you on all the hard work. I was reading through your reflections and I was hearing things that were just so positive about what you learned through your interview and just your takeaways and how even the assessment of yourself through the Myers-Briggs really helped you grow in the ability to look at your own character and your own skill sets and juxtapose those with what you learned in your interview and see how you fit into this field, or it gave you perspective in areas that you need to grow in if this is something that you really want to pursue. A couple of you really learned that this is not the right career field for you and you need to start looking at other avenues. And what I want to share with you is all of those findings are positive experiences. Um, just to give you some perspective, I started college thinking I was going to be a lawyer. And that was part of the reason I got an English degree. My plan was to major in English and get a political science minor. And when I started working with someone at a law firm and shadowed them, I just came to this very clear realization that it wasn't the right field for me. And I'm so grateful. I was able to switch my major and figured out that my love was in my English classes, and here I am. So, a lot of times when we are at those pivotal moments when we're shifting gears, we still figure out what we love in the process and then where that's going to work the best as we pursue what we're meant to do in life. So I just want to commend you on all of your hard work, all of your reflection, and all of the things that you've accomplished through the process of this first essay. Kaya did a really, really good job. And I wanted to show you an example of a student that performed really well as far as the grade that she received. She was a student who uh, performed on the higher end of things. And so I wanted to go through an example of a student who just had all the right components and the overall concepts of what I was looking for. So the first thing I want to know is everything in this essay is perfectly formatted in MLA. You see Times New Roman, double space, 12-point font, a really good title here. And then I want to go through the introduction and then one body paragraph to show you the varying components when we consider the rubric. Despite the ongoing worldwide debate regarding money and its relation to happiness, what cannot be denied is that money has proven itself to be the backbone of many modern occupations, namely accounting. James Love, a family friend and accountant at Capstone Multifamily Group in Gastonia, North Carolina, has kindly agreed to share his experience in achieving and fulfilling his status as a bookkeeper in the professional world with me. Upon entry, the smell of sage gently encapsulates me, wafting freely from a scent diffuser. It sits proudly atop his gray filing cabinet. One of the drawers is open, revealing a series of bright, multicolored folders labeled and neatened. James greets me with a kind smile, brown eyes crinkling, and he drops his blue pen to wrap his arms around me in a hug. For James, pursuing a career in accounting has allowed him to settle into an occupation that fulfills his desire to be challenged and to investigate despite his issues regarding commitment as a college student. So I want to note a couple things. First of all, we have this really great hook that immediately grabs our attention as the reader. Another thing is very clearly we know who the focus is going to be in this essay. It's James Love. And then we have this really clear thesis that shows what the student has learned through this interview opportunity with James. And then finally, the last thing that I want to mention, we see these really great profile elements. We can literally see the office with kind of the open drawers and messiness of folders. And then we see James with his kind smile, brown eyes, and then this big hug that he gives the person who is interviewing. So great job on this introduction. It has all the components that we're looking for: the hook, the profile elements of deep description, and then a thesis statement that really draws us to the purpose of this essay and a deeper understanding of this field. So then let's take a look at the first body paragraph. In high school, James' fascination with finance handling sparked during a bookkeeping class as he found the analytical and investigative aspects intriguing and chose later on in life to pursue it through classes at Appalachian State University. Okay, very clear topic sentence here. We have this total understanding that James was analytical, that he liked to investigate things, and that this is a little bit about that education component. These classes helped him recognize that accounting appealed to his problem-solving skills, that he found satisfaction in understanding and excelling in the subject. I remember being in my first bookkeeping class and realizing that. He pauses, shrugging and tapping his pen on the desk. It just made sense to me, he confides. There was an aspect of comfort that came from the reliability of careers in accounting, as the profession is typically perceived as being a promising one and essential for society. James notes that money is incredibly important in our world, so there was never truly a moment when I thought that the need for accountants would die out or that I'd ever be able to find a job. This sentiment helped provide James with confidence to pursue accounting as his official major in his post-secondary education. So we have this really clear topic sentence that's going to talk about kind of his personality traits paired with his education component. And then what we see right here is this primary research. This quote came from James. And then we shift into this idea that there's reliability in this career and that was part of why he chose it. And we have that supported with secondary research. Now, I will tell you the one thing that I felt could have been a little stronger in this paragraph is this connection to research, showing that the research they found connected to the overall ideas that the writer discovered. A lot of you really missed that. You kind of popped the research in there, and it did support what you were thinking, but you didn't draw the reader to understand how those connections were made in your mind. But again, the student who wrote this did a great job in creating a clear topic, supporting that with primary research, coming in with secondary research. This part was not cited appropriately. It should have been last name and page number only. So, for example, what this could have looked like was last name and then page right there. Again, that was an area that a lot of you missed, but those were small point scales. And then again, we come in with this primary research again, and then this really strong summative sentence here at the end of the paragraph. And then I'm just going to go through the topic sentences and then show you some bits and pieces. Throughout his college years, James questioned his decision to major in accounting due to a series of time management issues and concerns regarding monotony. So again, a really strong topic that they're going into that taught them something about this field. And then again, we see the support from James, these direct quotes that he created. We again see the secondary research support. And then let's come in right here at the end. Accounting, he found, in the sense of the level of community involvement and collaboration, typically requires one to maintain a sense of coordination and camaraderie between a moderate group of coworkers and overseers. So what they said here was, hey, there was some concerns about time management and monotony, but then through this realization, what we discover is that was solved because James found this level of community. So again, it all ties back to this idea that the student gained and learned something from this interview. And then another thing that I want to note right here, the space is neat and cozy, but adorned with Halloween decorations. That's a really good profile element. A lot of you included profile elements here at the beginning, but you started lacking profile elements as you started navigating through your essay. This particular student did a really good job of ensuring that they were consistent in that. And then again, I just want to show, third body paragraph. Again, we see James explains, we see some really strong direct quotes. We see support from secondary research. We see a really clear topic sentence. This occupation requires a professional attitude and soft skills. And the student stayed on track. And then here at the end, the summative sentence, technological aspects that can prove difficult to adjust to, but in the end, these result to benefits and advancements that are worth the struggle. So a really good job of staying on track in the topic that they started with in this paragraph, they completed the paragraph with. And then again, conclusion here at the end. And then as we go down, sorry, my editing of this, put this above. We see a different page for the works cited. And the only thing this student made a mistake in, they included these summaries. These should have been deleted, but we see really, really clearly the two different sources they used. The Hatain and then the Josie. Everything's double spaced. We see page numbers. We see the links that are working. Another thing, guys, some of you used faulty secondary research. And what I mean by that is either your links weren't working or there were no authors. And y'all, what we learned from the library lecture way early on in the semester is those are typically not ideal sources to use. We kind of have to think when we use sources from Facebook or random articles with no known author. And we have to ask ourselves, are these the most reliable? This student used peer review research. They got them from the library. They were out of journals that have been established with credible writers and credible peer reviewers who look over the work before it's published. And then they have these links that are working where I can directly go to the link and check their work. So great job, Kaya. You did a wonderful job. And I hope that through seeing some of the components of this essay, you can piece together where maybe you lost some points, where this essay kind of guided you through where the student gained in those rubric aspects. So shifting gears, we are moving on to a new essay. And a lot of you submitted your outline this week. So I'm going to exit out of this real quick. Give me just a second. And I want to turn your attention to the problem and solution outline. A lot of you didn't quite receive the grades that I'm used to seeing you get here. And so I want to go over some key components and make sure that you have a clear understanding of where you went wrong in the outline. And I want you to take a look at what I have to say here and put that up against the comments that I left you so that you know how to move forward. So a lot of you in your thesis statement, I want to point your attention, you need to ensure that you include a singular problem and singular solution. Guys, a lot of you had a clear problem, but for some of you, that problem was not a local issue. It was a worldwide issue. This prompt requires you to consider local issues, local problems. For a lot of you, you had a multitude of solutions. Now, y'all, when we think about the solution component, okay, and we really think about unpacking that, we have to think about who is involved, okay? Who is responsible for this solution? Is it the government? Are there citizens? Is it our education programs? What is it? Who is involved and who is responsible? What is the method? How are you going to ensure this solution works? Okay, it's not enough just to say, hey, I'm going to make sure to educate the public. Well, how are you going to do that? Are you going to do it through social media? Are you going to do it through the school systems? Are you going to do it through television? What is your method and how are you going to make sure it works? How are you going to go about this? Where is this going to take place? Is it going to be through the local community? Is it going to be through government entities? Is it going to be through education programs that filter through the school system? And why? Why is this the best solution? Are you adding to something that already exists? And what I mean by that is a lot of you mentioned that there are laws in place already. Well, then what are you contributing? Your solution cannot just be a big list of things that are already taking place. What you have to do is come up with something in addition to what's already out there. If there's a law that's not working, tell me how you think it's going to work. But your solution should be one focused solution. And when you look at all of these questions, y'all, that's going to take a minimum of 2 pages to unpack. A lot of you are trying to tackle the solution in 4 different ways. You cannot do that effectively in a 4-page paper. There is just no way. So consider all these different questions, and that's going to show you that you need to choose one singular solution and really unpack it. Now, let's talk about the first part of the essay, which is the body paragraphs, okay? Y'all, the goal of this section is to ensure that you are creating an argument that shows why this is a problem worth solving. Y'all, a lot of you use this section to tell me how this problem came about. So, for example, you talked about sex trafficking. And if you talked about sex trafficking, you were like, oh, it happens this way. And then it can also happen this way. And then it can also happen this way. That is not what we're doing here. What you are trying to do is you're trying to prove to me that this is a problem that earns the attention of policymakers, people who are responsible for making our world a better place. So, for example, if your topic is sex trafficking, then maybe one of your topics is, hey, we have to realize that when these victims come into trafficking, they have a tendency to be enslaved to this for the remainder of their lives. And then you go on to explain what that looks like. And then maybe your next problem paragraph is the majority of this problem is concentrated on children. And then you go into that. You're trying to make me listen to you. Why is this a problem worth solving? You are arguing to gain my attention for this issue. You are not telling me how this issue occurs or the causes of this issue. You are telling me that it should demand my attention. And then again, just to reiterate, when you go into the solution, you are focusing on one solution. If that's education, tell me how you're going to educate the public. If that's changing a law, tell me how you're going to change a law. If that's creating a program, tell me how you're going to create that program. But if you're tackling homelessness, you cannot come up with solutions and how to feed these people, educate the public, get them the health care they need. This is such a small paper that there is not enough space, and it's just not focused enough to try to solve all the problems. Pick a solution, unpack that solution. Okay, another thing, a lot of you are asking what peer-reviewed research is. And I just want to point you back to our library lecture from the beginning of the term. Peer-reviewed, y'all, means that it's in an established journal that has been reviewed by experts. Okay, this is not Facebook, this is not Google, this is not a blog. What this means is that experts have said, hey, this work is credible and we're putting our stamp on it. Y'all, that comes from very established journals that you're only going to find in the library. Now, I'm not saying that blogs and websites and other things are not extremely credible, because some of them are, but a lot of you are missing the credibility behind your research. And that's really important, especially as you start navigating into your fields. If you're a nurse, nobody is going to read research that some blogger created with no established peer review. If you're going to be a scientist one day, you've got to work with peer-reviewed research that other people have their stamp on. So make sure that you're meeting those peer-reviewed requirements. Now, as far as the practicality of the outline, if you want to resubmit your outline, you are welcome to do that. I'm only going to bump your grade either to a 70, or I'm going to add 5 points. If you earned a 70 to a 100, I will add 5 points to your resubmission. The big thing is, a lot of you need to resubmit so that you make sure that you are on the right track. If you want to resubmit that outline, that is going to be due by noon on Tuesday. And that way I can get it to you that afternoon, and you can still ensure that you have the flexibility to apply that and work on your rough draft. We're coming here to the end of the semester and we're really crunched for time, so we can't do a whole lot of bending on deadlines. If you want to meet with me, please reach out. I have a ton of meetings with students tomorrow who have already looked at those grades and wanted to see how they could improve. And I hope you found this Edpuzzle helpful. Reach out with questions, give me a call, shoot me some text messages. I'm always here to make sure that you have the support you need. Keep working hard and finish strong.